Good evening, Michael Bociurkiw talking to you from Lviv, Ukraine on this March 30th. Well, it's been a pretty long day with a number of media interviews, quite a lengthy one with CBC News, and then also with ABC Radio, our Breakfast Show, which I have immense respect for. They do fantastic journalism. And then in a little bit, Al Jazeera, a few others here and there. But the highlight of the day, at least for me, was, well, there were two. One was hosting a Twitter Spaces panel with three eminent people from journalism. We had Oleksiy from the Kyiv Independent, their really talented political editor correspondent, my friend Ilajin Yakli from Istanbul, and also Terry Schultz in Brussels, also a friend. And we were talking about the aftermath of the peace talks that were held yesterday in Istanbul and expectations of everybody, I think, including the negotiators themselves, including the host President Erdogan of Turkey, were very, very low going into those talks. And they almost didn't end, and already there were air raid sirens here in Lviv, shelling in places like Chernihiv. And just this evening, as we were hosting our Twitter Spaces conversation, Oleksiy was reporting the sounds of explosions in the distance in Kyiv, and also air raid sirens. So it doesn't seem much came of this. Earlier today, the governor of Chernihiv was on Ukrainian television saying that the situation there remains very dire with shelling, with virtually no utilities running, people trying to evacuate. And that's, very, very crucial to point out here, because part of the agreement from yesterday were the Russians coming out of this saying that we are going to reduce our shelling of Kyiv and Chernihiv. Well, they weren't really in a position to do much harm to Kyiv because they've been repelled to some distance. But in Chernihiv, as we saw today, they did not honor that promise. So I think, sad to say, that the results of those talks, and don't get me wrong, it is good for conversations to take place, for the opposing sides to meet, but they didn't yield much results. We will know in the next few hours probably the results of humanitarian corridors negotiated with the Russians today, in terms of whether those people evacuating those corridors were shelled or not, but chances are there probably were. And the pounding of Mariupol continues. I will share with you one headline, a screaming headline that came out of our Twitter Spaces conversation from Oleksiy, and that was that if, God forbid, Russian missiles or Russian warfare spills over into neighboring Poland, it's actually not that far from here, that the NATO response would probably not be anything close to what the Poles might be expecting. That is a very depressing thing to hear, actually, because NATO and other, EU and others have been projecting this show of unity for the past few weeks, ever since the war has started. But if they were to stay silent or dormant, if Poland is struck, and there's a very good chance of that happening, and I'm sorry to have to say that to all of my Polish friends, I think you'll be seeing Ukraine and neighboring countries pursue micro-alliances. I'm not saying this will spell the end of some countries' robust membership in NATO, but you're going to be seeing more kind of bilateralism or multilateralism taking place, because these countries, and for good reason, Ukraine doesn't put much faith anymore in their kind of association with, blocs like NATO, like the EU. That's where we are right now. I am very glad I at least was able to share with you yesterday that beautiful, I think the kind of subtext there was, we are going to live life as normal. We are not going to give in to this fear and aggression, and you are not going to chase us out of our beloved territory. So I wanted to end on that positive note. Please take care of yourselves. Please continue to follow my website for updates, michaelbociurkiw.com/news. I have a YouTube channel as well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.